Hi everyone, today we're going to continue our video about how to create a perfect blog. As I was saying, I have 20 for you tips. We did 10 tips last time and new 10 tips today. So tip number 11, write the way you speak. When people read blogs on the internet, they want to read something that is easy to read. They want to almost hear you talking. That's why even when people write based on what they said in the video, they basically just transcribe and then format a little bit. The blog posts come up quite nicely. You definitely don't want to have long paragraphs. You don't want to use difficult words. Write the way you speak. The way you can do it is you write. Firstly, just try to write the way you speak, and then read it aloud. And if anything sounds like something that you would never say to someone if they were sitting right next to you, and you were talking to them about this, then edit it out to make it sound like what you would have said if someone was talking to you in person one-on-one. Tip number 12 is speech to text on Google Docs. This is super helpful, especially if you ever experience pain in your hands from writing too much, from typing too much, or if you are a slow typer, which is very common for people if they don't type a lot. Many people type with one finger and so on. So it definitely saves time, and Google Docs have good functionality in terms of text-to-speech. I use them a lot, especially when I'm editing our major programs, big programs. It helps me because I have to basically transcribe everything and then piece it together, different takes. If I don't transcribe, then it is very hard to pull it from my head, which piece I take from this take and which piece I take from this take, and have we already spoke about it. So I have to transcribe. When I was doing it without speech to text, my hands were hurting a lot. I would have to take breaks and do some other work because my hands were hurting too much. But speech to text really changed everything for me, and I'm sure you will find it very helpful. So when you write your blog post, just talk to your computer. Imagine that you are talking to a friend and you're giving them advice, and then you can go back and format it and make it better. And this helps with the previous tip, because when you speak, then you will be writing as you are speaking. Now, once you have your keyword that you selected, once you finished your first paragraph, which is your description, and second paragraph, which is your snippet, hopefully, that it will, sorry, the fly is very interested in me for some reason. Once you finish your second paragraph, then I want you to write down subheadings. So remember, in the second paragraph, you gave an answer to the question the reader was asking. If you haven't watched first video, please go back and watch it, because what I'm giving you today is a continuation based on what I already shared with you in the previous video, and I will link to the video in description below. So once you have your first and second paragraph, then write some subheadings. And the way you write subheadings is think about what are other lingering questions your audience will have after reading your first and second paragraph, after you gave short description for the blog and you gave answer to the question. What are other things they will be wondering about? Think about it and then use it as subheadings for your blog. Once you wrote subheadings for your blog, plan about 300 words per subheading, per subsection, and just use your text-to-speech and just answer it. From the top of your head, just answer it. Do some research where you need to, but try to go through it fast. If it is not a pillar post, which I explained what it is in the previous video, you don't need to spend a lot of time on a blog. A good blog post can take you 1 or 2 hours, maximum maybe 5 hours, if you follow a good process. And I'm sharing with you a process that works very well, so please check it out. Here you need to aim for overall at least 1,500 words. Blog posts that are short usually don't do very well on Google, so I highly recommend to aim for at least 1,500 words, and this adds up very fast when you have 300 words per subheading. And of course you can have a little bit longer subsection, so you should get to 1,500 words pretty fast. Tip number 14. In your blog post, link to other websites. And link to places that you respect, that you think are good resources, and once you finish your blog post, write them a note and say that you mentioned them in your post, you link to their site, and that you would love it if they share it with their audience. And many people will consider sharing it because it makes them look good. It is in their self-interest to share your post if you made them look good in your post. Number 15 is make it digestible. When people read on the internet, they don't really want to read long paragraphs. Tip 16, break it up with visuals. So you need to make sure that you add some images, videos, opt-in for your newsletter, so that visually when a person looks at your blog post, you don't just have text. So it is more interesting for the viewer. What people usually do is they firstly scan, they read the title, they may look at your subheadings, and then they will decide if they want to actually dive into your blog post. So make it very digestible and easy to scan and visually appealing by adding visuals such as videos, images, opt-ins. Be creative. Try to avoid images that look very stocky. So someone with exaggerated smile, or people in the office, but it is clear that they are just actors. They've never actually been in a corporate environment probably in their life. So be very careful about stocky images because it just doesn't look very nice. Try to find things that are that look polished but more realistic, and something that really suits your site and your blog post, the subject of your blog post. Sometimes you can create your own images, and sometimes you can use some stock photos, but just be creative in how you use it. Maybe you use just a portion of it, maybe you cut out part that looks better, or maybe just spend a little longer to find a better image or better set of images for your blog post so it all looks cohesive and like it was designed for your blog post. So basically make sure that it doesn't look stocky, and make sure that it does make sense why it is used for this particular blog post. Number 18 is very important. That is reading your blog post out loud. When you read it out loud, you will find points where you're not writing like you are speaking to someone. So as you are reading your blog post out loud, imagine you're talking to somebody right next to you, to a friend, and you just sharing with him or her things that you are sharing in the blog post. And whatever will seem kind of, you wouldn't say it. You would write it, but you would never say it. Just cut it out, replace it with something that you would say. Number 19 is don't try to be perfect. There's such thing as good enough, and you need to move forward. I remember reading book Tough Choices by Carly Fiorina. I know that people have mixed feelings about Carly Fiorina because of political things, but I never think about that. I just think about her in terms of her abilities as a business person. And I remember in the book she said that they were going through some very difficult document, and what they decided is to, once they close the page, they don't go back to it. Once it is good enough, they do not go back to it. And this is what I recommend for you too. And this is what I follow in my life as well. There's a lot of things in your life that just need to be good enough. And if you have this desire to be perfect, which I do have, and I fight it all the time, you need to just decide for yourself what needs to be perfect and what needs to be good enough. And when it comes to blog posts, it kind of have to be good enough because you have to move forward. You have to keep on posting. You don't always know which blog posts will bring traffic and which blog posts will bring no traffic. So even if you do everything right, you may get very little traffic from that post. So you have to do your best, follow the process, but then once it is good enough, let it go. And you can always go back and make it better. I constantly go back to old articles and update them, but what I'm saying is that release it, publish it, get it out into the world so that it can start helping people, and so that you can see if you start getting traffic to the blog post, and if you do, you did a good job, and if you don't, you can go back and try to make some additional adjustments and see if that helps. Now, I remember that at the beginning of the first part of this video, I mentioned that I have 19 tips, but I actually have 2 extra tips for you. Number 1, when you think about your blog posts, when you think about your audience, think about a pyramid. the bottom of the pyramid is the largest audience, and then as it goes up, becomes smaller, smaller, and smaller. So the bottom of the pyramid, think about it as basic queries. So for example, if someone just searches about how to start a blog, or maybe even something even more basic than that, how to start an online business, and then maybe they will, after some research, decide to do a blog. With basic questions like that, there will be much bigger audience than for someone who searches for a specific thing. For example, how to do a blog using WordPress, Team XX for a blog that is focused on pets. Focus on basic queries so that you have larger audience that potentially will find your blog and will come to your site. And I mentioned to you how I do research on how many searches there are. I use Google Keywords Planner, and then there are a lot of other paid options as well. So obviously don't shoot in the dark. Check how many people actually search for a particular keyword. But my advice is try to focus on the bottom of the pyramid where you have the largest audience. And second additional tip that I wanted to share with you is go to a private window and go to Google and type whatever your niche is. So if, for example, you are focused on fitness and you specifically focused on how to have good figure after you have a baby, you can start typing certain keywords and see what suggestions Google gives you. Then go to Google Planner or go to another tool that you're using for keyword research and figuring out how many searches per month a particular keyword had, and check for each of the keywords how many people actually search for it per month. And if any of them have 1,000 searches, those are very good keywords to target. And then you can also use some paid tools to check for how competitive it is. But generally, as long as a keyword has 1,000 searches per month, I find it interesting enough to write a blog post for it. At the end of the day, there are not that many keywords for a particular niche, so I don't want to miss out on a good keyword, even if there is a lot of competition. I hope you guys found it helpful. Let me know in the comments what kind of blog you are thinking about starting, or what kind of blog you have started. I would love to check it out. Leave a link below and I will check it out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so you do not miss notifications when new videos are released. By subscribing, you actually will help me out, because my goal is to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of December. I know it is very ambitious, and I don't know if I will be able to accomplish it by December, but it's better to aim high and not reach it than aim too low. Best of luck with your business. Stay focused, stay productive, do good things for the world, and I'm looking forward to see you next time.